Hi there and welcome to our first ever World Tour Wednesday edition of the Backer Breakdown, where today I'll be checking out 5 songs from South Korea. What a wonderful way to start, especially considering our very first song right now is by the current worldwide phenomenon BTS. Now, I'm going to start this video by saying a few things that if you're familiar with this channel, you might be aware of, but I'm aware that obviously this video is probably going to bring in a few people who've never seen us before, and, you know, maybe some BTS fans, so let's make sure that everyone can enjoy this just as much. Now, we're a little bit different from a lot of the other reaction channels, I like to think, because of the fact that when I give a compliment, and when we give a compliment on this channel, I like to think it's a really genuine one, because we sit down and we analyse the music properly. We listen to it, I give a reaction, so if I'm enjoying it and I'm whooping, I'll be dancing and whooping in my seat. Whooping. I said whooping. But if we don't like it, we're nice and constructive, I believe, in our criticism. Now, when it comes to BTS, I have a lot of reason to believe actually that I probably will like them, but I can't be certain. Now, the reason I say that is because growing up, I'm not going to deny, I love me some catchy pop. One of my favourite songs growing up was Bewitched, C'est la Vie. That's true. Between all that pop and punk, yeah, well, there was pop between the punk and punk between the pop and heavy metal between it all. I listen to a bit of everything. Also on this channel, though we listen to a lot of heavy bands, it is true to say that Perfume have been one of our biggest hits on this channel. We've really enjoyed most of what I've heard from them, but we've been constructively critical of some of the songs as well. Now, I know that obviously with Korea, they've been producing a lot of shall we say, quite commercial pop, and BTS I have no reason to believe are going to be any different from that. I'm sure a lot of fans will come out and defend the fact that they probably have a lot of input in their music, as you would do if you get to that scale, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of creative comments. That's what we like. Get in here, give me some comments, tell me some more about the artist, let me know some things. Now, obviously, for this World Tour Wednesday, we're just doing 5 songs, and then next week we'll be moving on to the next country, and as usual, we'll be covering the music from Japan, which we cover all the time. But this is not to say, you can hear my squeaky chair, by the way. This is not to say that we'll never come back if you give me some suggestions or anything else. We'll find some time every now and then. If someone says, look, you really need to check this out, we'll find some time to come back and check some other things out. Anyway, I've been waffling now for over 2 minutes, which is unusually long for this channel, so we're going to jump in on it. Now, luckily in the comments, I'm glad to say we had someone who was a genuine BTS fan already on our channel, who gave us some really interesting suggestions, and there were some really good ones on there. I felt kind of bad skipping and he gave me some really good comments, but I kind of had to go for the one which was the biggest hit, because one of them had much more views than all the others. And as you already know, if you've clicked on this link, it is Boy With Love featuring Halsey, which is also apparently the title track from their latest album. If I'm wrong, BTS fans, please don't kill me. Now, just to point out as well, I also know nothing about Halsey. In fact, the only thing I know about Halsey is what Eminem said about her in the Machine Gun Kelly diss, which is not really pertinent or useful information. So now that I have waffled on for almost 3 minutes, oh god, over 3 minutes, it's time to jump in on this one. Ladies and gentlemen, I am actually genuinely quite excited. First time I've ever heard BTS, but we're going to be honest about this one. I'm really hoping to enjoy it though. It's BTS with Boy With Love. Let's go. Oh, they're big enough to have one of those, like a movie at the beginning. Big Hit Entertainment. I'm guessing that's Halsey. Too cool for school. Loving the colourful video though. They've got genuinely very different sounding voices, which is kind of unusual for this kind of band, honestly. a bad hook, actually. It's not like going, oh wow, this is a classic hook, but it's pretty good. This is the one thing the Koreans remember, is that you can't have a boy band without someone doing hip-hop. They got that right. Oh, there's 7 of them. I just clocked that just now. There's 7 of them. It's a very simple groove, but it's not getting boring, which is quite nice. It's, like I said, it's not standing out, but it is actually just, it sounds pleasant. It's not annoying, it's just, oh. 나도 모르게 힘이 들어가기도 했어 높아버린 스카 커져버린 헛 때론 도망치게 해달라며 기도했어 너의 상처는 나의 상처 깨달았을 때 나 다짐했던 걸 네가 준 이 그 후세 나에게로 태양이 아닌 너에게로 Let me fly Okay, yeah, okay. Oh, my bad. Sorry, I interrupted BTS on their final line. Fans are gonna kill me. Look, I've got actually more good things to say about that than I was worried I was going to have at the start. First thing I just want to point out, there is one thing I want to point out. What the hell did Halsey actually do in that? She just went, oh my, a few times, which, to be honest, they didn't need her doing that. They were doing fine without her there. What did she do? It's not like she's such a big celebrity, or at least not that I'm aware. It's not that she's such a big celebrity that just having her like on the background of a couple of lines like elevates the song. It's like Halsey, oh, that person who was in the Eminem Machine Gun Kelly diss. Oh, she's singing the same thing as them in the background when they don't need her. So yeah, that was bizarre. As for the song, yeah, like I said, there's a few things you expect from a mainstream pop song. Now, obviously, I guess the only real point of reference I have for this is before them. The only direct comparison in size and scale was obviously when we had about 10 years prior, we had like One Direction. And One Direction, basically, they had a couple of songs that I actually really liked, and then a lot of songs that I thought were just, you know, generic nothings. So there's always that risk when you're only listening to one song by an artist, are you going to hear their best or their worst? I can't help but feel when I listen to this that yes, I can see why this would be a big hit, and it does hit. Perhaps the most negative thing I'd say about it is it does slightly follow the current trend of minimalism in pop. And the problem with that is when you do a minimalist pop song, it's good in that it offends less people and so it brings more people together. But the bad side of that is that it gives it less identity, and, you know, sort of having lyrics like, oh, my. It's like, it would be better if you could put something in that meant a bit more. But of course, the problem is here is that I don't understand anywhere near enough Korean to know the plenty of lyrics that were already there. So that's a bit of a half-assed comment that I can't really do too much to back up. Now, however, what I would want to point out on the positive side, like I say, that was one of those grooves where it starts off going at the beginning. It's quite kind of simple, and the biggest problem with simple is that it can go two ways. It can either become very catchy or deeply annoying. And, you know, I must admit, it suddenly hit me when we were about, like, you know, what, 3 choruses, 2 verses, 2 raps, however much had passed, however far in we were. We were quite a way in when I suddenly realised, you know what? I should be getting bored of this by now, but I'm not. And I think one of the main reasons for that is because they actually kept what was happening over that simple backing quite fresh. Obviously, as you'd expect with a very celebrity status boy band, they have to focus a lot on putting their artist front and center. The vocalists really need to be making the song, and they need to give them something which gives them room in the background, but also gives them something to work with. And the vocalists were good. Dare I say it, for a boy band, the two guys who rapped, I couldn't obviously understand their lyrics, so I couldn't tell how good they were lyrically. They had a different flow, a different style. They did do decent work, flowing to the beat. It didn't sound like someone pretending to rap. It sounded like someone who, they're decent at this. I know that boy band rappers are usually not the best, but it doesn't mean they can't give you a competent and fun sort of flow, and that's kind of what they gave. The singers all had a different sound. I'm not gonna point out who's who, because I don't want to offend anyone who's obsessed with one particular member, but there were some who I thought, okay, your voice is much better and your voice is nah. So they weren't all, to me, like, wow, brilliant singers, but it was nice that they were all different, because it meant that the song had a little bit of movement as it went through. Obviously, we have to, when we're talking about pop, we have to talk about the visual aspect. The aesthetic is very important. I really like that it was a colourful video. Again, this is something with pop that can go two ways, and I'm sure BTS in their catalogue have examples of this going both ways. Pop videos can either be extremely boring and pretend to be melodramatic, or pretend to be more deep and cool than they really are. That's quite tiresome. Luckily with Korea, a lot of the time they don't go down that road. With the Korean pop, they tend to just say, well, look, this is fluff, this is pop, this is for fun. And they tend to keep it quite, colourful and enjoyable, and that translated through to this. They clearly can all dance really well. So it had all of the things that pop would need. Now, obviously, the problem that we've got is, like I say, same thing that we had when I would have, well, I've not done it for this channel, but when I would have been listening to something like One Direction before, and the same problem that the Beatles are still dealing with, sort of coming on for 60 years later, is the fact that when you have such a vast celebrity status, and I know that BTS were compared directly with the Beatles on an American TV show, which I did think was a bit ridiculous. They're such completely different entities that even on a fame level, it doesn't make sense to compare them. But the one thing that you can compare in common is that when you are that famous, the question of, okay, are you really that much better than everyone else, does come up. Now, when it comes to the Beatles, they had to show that in their writing, and I do understand that some people find with the Beatles, I was like, well, for all their good songs, you listen to their albums and it had some real rubbish on it, but I think that's because they were experimenting so much. I kind of, I do understand when people question the Beatles, but I do think the Beatles deserved their mantle. When it comes to something like BTS, and One Direction for that matter, I think you have a very different question here, because there's no pretense that they are songwriters or musicians. They might be, I don't know, but I'm working on the basis that they're not. Maybe they write a few lyrics or something, or maybe they do a bit of their own choreography, but they're not a self-writing artist for all I know. Now, giving them the benefit of that particular doubt, their fame is not so much dependent on, well, the credibility of their fame is not so much dependent on this, as do they pull off what they're expected to do, which is perform. Well, they clearly are very popular live, but then again, most of the people who go to their shows are probably already pretty obsessed with them. I think we've noticed this from seeing news reports about BTS. But, on camera, they look like they're enjoying themselves, they look like they're competent, like I say, they look like they can dance, they have interesting vocal standpoint, all the things I've mentioned previously. They do look like they are genuinely much more competent than most of their peers who I would have seen. So, for someone like a lot of the people who are on our channel, and myself as a songwriter and musician as well, obviously I've never had that kind of fame, but I can see why people would maybe go, well, look, this is just not something that you can get into unless you are a mainstream fan or a pop fan. And I do get that. I think even for someone like me who likes pop, I do find it sometimes a bit hard to access pop, because it can sort of go into that well, not always lowest common denominator. It's not that so much as just the line of least resistance. When you're trying to make something poppy, there is a sound that will kind of creep into everything. And yeah, I can understand how BTS, like a lot of groups, have perhaps got a more streamlined sound that doesn't pick up musos who want to be tested so much what they listen to. But if you're looking for something which is straight pop, and with only one song that I've heard, I can see why you'd want to hear more. I'm kind of interested in hearing a little bit more of them, and luckily I'm really thankful. Like I say, our commenter gave us quite a few links, so I will be checking those out. And like I say, I might come back and listen to more in the future. I'm not ruling it out. Depends on what people say. If people are really interested in me doing so, then I will. But I do think that sounds like an artist who I'm not going, okay. The problem would be right now if I was going, okay, I have no idea why they're popular. If I was going, I have no idea why people would like them, I have no idea why they're a sensation, then I would be saying, forget it, this is a load of rubbish. What I'm instead thinking is, I'm thinking, okay, you've got a hard man to live up to. That song didn't exactly blow me out of water. Like I say, the chorus was not something where, it's not a chorus that I'm going to probably remember that by tomorrow. I'm probably going to have forgotten that hook by tomorrow. Just being totally honest with you here. But what I will have remembered tomorrow is, that was kind of interesting. It was a bit different. Let's see what else they can do. So, yeah, like I said, I've been given some links already, which I'll be checking them out. I went for this one first of all because it was the most popular one of the links that I was given. So, yeah, feel free to get in the comments. If you're a BTS fan, please get in the comments as well. We'll be doing 4 more songs from Korea today. And obviously, we're going to be doing World Tour Wednesdays, where we're going to be traveling all over the world, one country every week. We cover Japanese music most of the time here from Japan. And, yeah, so as always, this whole channel is about discussion. It's all about being honest and about communication, and people saying what they like and what they don't like, and us sort of agreeing to disagree when we don't agree, and just learning from each other as we go. I am just here to give a starting gun opinion. So I'm really interested for you guys to get in the comments. You can press thumbs down if you want. You don't have to subscribe. I'm not going to tell you to subscribe or anything like that. If you want to subscribe, obviously you can. I'm not saying you shouldn't. But if you want to press thumbs down, that's fine. But get in the comment and tell us why, because that's gonna make people listen. Anyway, for now, from here in Japan and from our South Korean World Tour Wednesday, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm really glad that we did that one, and we've got 4 more songs coming from the South Korean collection as suggested by our commenters today. So don't go too far away, check them out, they'll be coming soon. To be honest, by the time you watch this, unless you watched it within 24 hours of me posting it, they're already up. Ciao, ciao for now.